Perfect. Okay, hello everyone. Thank you so much for coming to listen to me rabble on for 10 minutes about my master's project, which was based on the co-creation of the Lookout. So let's go, if it lets me click, please. There we go. So just a short introduction. I had the stakeholder of Swansea Council, and they wanted us to create a installation that would go into Swansea City Centre and help people to understand about the new development site. And it needed to be COVID friendly, but also interactive. So we went through a range of different co-creation with different people and stakeholders to create hopefully what some of you will be able to now go and see in the centre. So we had some influences from the literature, including a lot of public areas now have kind of interactive screens that look a bit like TVs. So people ignore them or walk past them because they don't realise they're interactive. So we wanted to create something a bit different so that when people saw it, they would be intrigued and want to go and play with it. So we went for a more binocular-based design, such as the one shown on the right-hand side, that looks a bit like when you go to the seaside and want to have a look at the sea and other things around there. We also wanted to be able to make it a personalized experience, and we had a look and users really seemed to engage with having augmented reality filters and having the picture taken because it was so personal. So we tried to incorporate that within our design as well. And finally, obviously, because of COVID, we couldn't have something that you needed to touch with your face or hopefully your hands and be really interactive with in that way. So we had a look at the different options, and there was motion sensors or levers, but because of the weather and other things in Swansea and the motion sensors sometimes are quite unreliable when they're outside, we decided to go for a more lever-based option instead. So to start off with, we evaluated a few different modalities that we could have a look at to intrigue people in different ways. So one of them was magical mirrors. So that means that when you walk up to, it's kind of a screen-based interaction with an Xbox Connect, which takes an image of the user and then shows them a different background behind them, such as the new arena or a nature park, or even themselves in a hotel room with a robe on. We also had a look at putting some voice boxes in that would have prompts to tell people about the different things around the area, and then they'd be able to ask some questions such as, well, what's happening here, or what you're building, things like that. And we also had a look at providing big screens, and as the users would walk past, they would be motion censored and would follow them with different icons of different locations, such as butterflies near the coastal park and coffee near the coffee shops, and maybe a microphone near the arena, and different bits and bobs like that. But after some co-creational studies and evaluation of the ideas, we found that actually the binocular-based design was still the most popular, and people found that the most intriguing and would want to go and have a go with that instead. Figure A shows our original design. As you can see, the user would have to put their face into a virtual reality headset, and they need to use their hands to move it about. And with coronavirus, it just wasn't a plausible thing to expect people to do, and obviously we could be in that kind of stage for quite a while, so we wanted something that would be sustainable. So we went towards figure B, which has a much bigger screen so the user can stand further back, and then we toyed with different levers, so elbow-based levers and foot-based levers, and I will mention later why we chose the ones that we did. As I said, it was a very co-creational based design. We did 5 different iterations of the physical and digital blueprint, which we created, and we did this using storyboards. So this was the first 6 pieces of the first storyboard that we created. You can see the user walking up to the lookout and looking out, and seeing different augmented reality arrows above different areas of the development site, such as the car park and the arena, and then they're clicking on that to choose to be transported there. We worked with a range of different stakeholders and charities. The charity we worked with was SightLife. So they are a sight loss charity that works within Swansea and Cardiff city centre to help people with partial or complete sight loss. And they were really useful, and we spoke to them on telephone conferencing, and we were able to speak to all our other stakeholders using Zoom and show them via screen sharing our different ideas and our prototypes and things like that. So that led to, this was our final storyboard iteration that we created. And as you can see, it has some more visual content that aren't just drawings, where the user can click on different aspects of the development site and go to the arena, have their picture taken, and all the other different aspects. And yes, so this led to our final blueprints, which were then adapted. So the physical blueprints were adapted by Tom Henderson, and this was the final blueprint. As you can see, we opted for elbow-based levers. So the reason that we did this was after a co-creational study with SightLife, where they said to me, well, if you have foot-based levers, then if we're out by ourselves and we're walking with our canes or with our dogs, then it won't pick up what's that close to the floor, you know, we'll fall over, it'll be a trip hazard. So we adapted that and changed it to elbow-based levers, so hopefully it wouldn't cause any harm to anyone and nobody would end up falling over them. We also adapted from 1 design to 2 designs. So the second design is for wheelchair users and children, and we created a bigger gap so that they'd be able to wheel under the design and still be able to interact with it similarly to the adult-based one. Finally, we also changed the height. So originally we had them at 1.5 meters and 1.2 meters, but we, in one of our other user studies, we found that actually women on average are about 12 centimeters shorter than men. And we didn't want it to be that you'd have to stand on your tippy toes to have a look. So we changed those down to 1.4 and 1 meters to try and increase the inclusivity. We then also produced a digital prototype, which was adapted by Gavin, who is here. Hello, Gavin. One of those aspects was to have the ability to pan the different things on the screen to make that part interactive. So we used the magnetometer readings so that when the user pushes their elbows, the screen moves, and it looks like that they can be walking around the site and all these different kinds of things. So here is the final development site, which hopefully it'll look very similar to. It's nearly there. If you drive down Oystermouth Road, which is in the middle there, it is starting to come together. So from right to left, we have the car park, and then the housing complex, the pedestrian bridge, the arena, and then the coastal park is on the right-hand side. The big white building is the big Tesco's that's off Oystermouth Road, and then the marina is on the left-hand side of the arena, and our installation is now located on the right-hand side of the car park near to the Iceland, and it's there at the moment. So basically, we wanted to be able to explain that image to the users without having a lengthy explanation, and we thought, well, how can we show them that and show them the scale? And so we decided to take some drone footage. So this drone footage takes you from the installation up and over the car park and the housing complex and the arena, and as you can see, there's the arena and the beginnings of the coastal park on the right hand side. So this piece of drone footage is taking the user to the arena, but we also took drone footage for all the different locations so that they could see where each part would be once it was built. From there, the user could go in to see the arena, so they're having their picture taken here, which then goes back into the image to try and help them to imagine themselves within that area. Gavin's managed to change it so that it has really cool augmented reality filters. So definitely go and have a play with that if you have time. From there, they could then go around the arena, which takes them inside, which enables them to have a look at this 360-degree image. So this especially was really popular in our user studies because it was so interactive. They can have a play around, and quite a few of our users said, oh, I wish there was a microphone so that I could pretend to sing on stage and different things like that. So quite a lot of the images now are these 360 images, which is really great because it helps you to be included within the design even better. So in conclusion, we created a blueprint for the lookout, which is now here. So I've taken an image here so the car park is in front of you, and then we have the two different installations with physical and digital prototypes that have been adapted to create what is there now. We've also got, so there's AstroTurf, which was put down again due to speaking to SiteLife. They said it would be really helpful if there was obvious color contrast between the actual walkway and where the installations were going to be, so that they could easier know not to walk on those areas if they were partially sighted. So this is the smaller installation for wheelchair users and children, a bit closer up. So it's got some older pictures on it as well, and you can see the elbow levers and the elbow button. So the elbow button we also asked to be covered with a copper film, again to help with COVID, because it doesn't retain COVID for as long as some of the other metals. And we've got some users actually playing around with the design here. And the head of the council came down and had a play. So he's using the elbow levers here to move the content on the screen.
Not a good storyteller.
And then finally, that's me using the elbow button to select, I think it was one of the filters. Yes, so please go and have a look. As I said, it's on the right-hand side of the car park. If you go and have a look, please let me know what you think, send me some feedback, and if you have any other ideas of what we could incorporate within the centre, let me know. I'd love to know what you think. Finally, just some acknowledgements, and thank you very much for listening.